JPA Mapping Part 1. So here we are going to talk about entity relationships, and we'll talk about directionality, cardinality, inheritance. So these are three different types of relationships between entities. Inheritance relationship will be covered in JPA Part 2, and here we are going to cover directionality and mostly cardinality. Cardinality is the most important relationship. Entity relationships. So as I said, directionality could be unidirectional or bidirectional. Cardinality relationships could be one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many. And inheritance relationship could be generating single table or joint table. So in this presentation, we're going to talk about directionality and cardinality, mostly cardinality relationships. Now, entity relationships, Java versus table. So we touched upon this one a bit before. Relationship between entities in Java code is normal object relationship where inheritance and associations are used. Relationship between tables in relational database are represented by join table or foreign key. Okay, so when inheritance and association relationships in Java, it could be represented in join table or foreign key in table, in between tables in relational database. And you can control how this object relationship between Java objects should be represented in tables through JPA annotations. And we're going to spend learning these annotations in the rest of the presentation. So let's talk about the directionality first. So directionality affects the navigation. So unidirectional goes like this. So suppose we have a customer class and the address class. From the customer, I could go to address, meaning I can call get address to get the address information of the customer. However, from the address, I cannot call get customer. So if that is the case, this is unidirectional. Okay. In one-to-many cardinality relationship, the unidirectionality goes something like this. From a customer, I can get all orders. So I can call get orders method to retrieve all the orders of the customer. But from the order class, there is no customer field, meaning it doesn't really have get customer method. So there is no way to get the customer information of a particular order. So in this case, this is unidirectional. In many-to-many relationship, we have speaker and events, meaning a speaker can speak in many events, and event could have many speakers. So we could have get events method from a speaker, but from the event, we don't have any speakers. Get speakers method. If that's the case, that is the unidirectional. Bidirectional is that the navigations are allowed on both directions. So in the first case, it does have get address method in customer class and get customer method in address class. Okay, so when you can go either direction, that means it's bidirectional. So directionality and ownership of the relationship. So in a relationship, there is an aspect of ownership. So who owns the relationship, in fact, affects how tables are created. So in this relationship, one side is called the owner of the relationship, and the other side, of course, is called inverse owner of the relationship. Okay. So in general, the side, well, it's always the case. The side who owns the relationship, meaning owner of the relationship, has the foreign key field. Okay. Now, in unidirectional, ownership is implied. Okay. So if you have customer get address, but the address get customer is not supported, then in this case, customer table has the foreign key field, which means customer is the owner of the relationship, while the address is the inverse owner of the relationship. Bidirectional ownership needs to be explicitly specified, meaning which side has the ownership in this case. Okay, so if you are making bidirectional, then one side has to be designated as the owner of the relationship. Okay, so that is a directionality relationship. Now let's talk about the cardinality relationship. In fact, cardinality relationship is the most important relationship. So there are notations that you can use to specify cardinality relationship. So one-to-one, for example, a customer has a single address and a single address belongs to a single customer. One-to-many and many-to-one, these are annotations that I use for one-to-many relationships. So in this case, for example, customer has many orders. Many-to-many annotation is used for many-to-many relationship, of course. So example could be a speaker participates in many events. An event has many speakers. Okay? So in Java, one-to-many and many-to-many relationships are represented in Java collection. It could be a set, it could be list, it could be map. Okay, so ownership, one-to-one bidirectional ownership. The owner is the side with a foreign key field. Okay? In the case of one-to-many and many-to-one bidirectional relationship, the owner is always on the many side. That is where foreign key is in fact present. So if you have customer has many orders, then order is always the owner of the relationship, and which means it has foreign key field. Okay, so let's actually talk about the one-to-one relationship first, and then we're going to talk about one-to-many, and then we'll talk about many-to-many. Okay, so let's start with the one-to-one. So again, one-to-one could be unidirectional or bidirectional. In one-to-one relationship, it's always using foreign key in tables. Okay, so there is no join table based scheme that support one-to-one. It's always using a foreign key field. All right, so let's do exercise 1. So again, unzip the zip file and then open the lab documentation. So it is going to be JPA mapping 1. I have already unzipped it. I'm going to read index.html file. That is the lab documentation. And let me just increase the font size. Okay, so we are going to import sample Maven project, and we are going to use the same testDB database, and I assume your Java DB server is up and running. Okay, and import sample Maven project. Okay? So in one-to-one relationship, we are going to try first unidirectional. The first 3 exercises are unidirectional, and the next 2 are bidirectional. And the first one is not using annotation, and that means there is no way that you can specify cascading behavior. The second one is using annotation. You can specify cascading behavior. And then we are going to use a join column, and then we are going to actually change, in this case, bidirectional. We can actually set which one is in fact the owner. So in this case, customer is the owner, and in this case, order is the owner. Okay, all right. So let's run unidirectional, no annotation, no cascade application. So I gave a number, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's run the first one. So first one, so I'm gonna just run this guy. Right click, run as Java application. Okay, so what you see here is we have a one-to-one the relationship between customer and order. Okay, so we have a customer 1 to 3, and here customer has the foreign key field to order, so this is order table, order ID, and shipping address, and this one is the foreign key field in the customer. So in this case, customer is in fact the owner of the relationship. Okay, so let's take a look at the code. So this is what we are going to see. By the way, if you do not specify any annotation, so in this case, customer has order. So in this case, you can see one-to-one annotation is not specified. In that case, one-to-one relationship is assumed. Okay, so one-to-one annotation is default in this case. All right. Okay. So customer has the order, And however, the order does not have a customer. You can see these are commented out, right? So there is no way you can access the customer information from the order. So this is unidirectional, meaning you can access, there is a get order method, like a get order method to get the order from the customer, but from the order you cannot get to the customer because in order we don't have a field of customer. So this is commented out. Okay. All right. So this is unidirectional. Now in main code, okay. So again we created entity manager, and now this is actually kind of important. We are going to create test data. So if you take a look at the node cascade create table, so let's actually go to the test case. So we created customer 1 object, customer 2 object, customer 3 object, and then we also created 3 orders. Okay, order 1, order 2, and order 3. Okay, and then we set the order. We call the set order method to the customer. So customer now has order object, the set. Now, because there is no cascade, we need to persist both order and customer entities. What that means, we haven't talked about the concept of cascading yet, right? But because we are not using any annotation, there is no way that you can set the cascading behavior. So as a default, there is no cascading, meaning you have to persist not only the customer in this case, you also have to persist the order object. Okay, so you have to actually persist individually all the order object and customer object. Okay, so that is the for creating test data. Now let's take a look at here. So we created the test data, and then we perform get customer and then navigate from the customer to his order. So we are going to get the first customer object, and then we should be able to call get order method. Okay, because I can get to order from the customer. Customer 1, get order, I get the order, and I can display the address of the order. Okay, here I cannot, here I could actually find the order. Okay, however, I cannot get customer from the order because we don't have any get customer method. Okay, so this is unidirectional. Okay, so that's basically what we're talking about. Yeah, all right. Now let's actually try the next one, which is still unidirectional, meaning there is no way you can get the customer information from order. But here we are using annotation. And because we can use annotation, we can perform cascade. So let's take a look at this. Let's actually run this guy. So run as and Java application. And the result is going to be the same, but we'll take a look at the code and see what changes you have. Okay, so result is the same as the first one. Okay, so now what is the difference here? The difference is now we are using one-to-one annotation in the customer class for the order. Now, because we are using the one-to-one annotation, we can specify other attributes or other options, I would say. So in this case, I'm using cascade type all. What that means is that when customer object is persisted, then this order object will be automatically persisted. So I don't have to separately persist this order object. Okay? This fetch is basically, fetch could be the lazy or eager. For one-to-one relationship, it's always eager. But if you want to choose a different fetch mode, in this case, you can specify. Okay, so we'll talk about this fetch mode later on, but let's focus on this cascade. All right, so in this case, this is order. Order still doesn't have any customer via field. Okay, now in main, so here we are going to create the cascade, create test data. So let's take a look at the test data case here. Here, you don't have to persist the order object yourself, because when you persist the customer object, whatever order object that is associated with customer will be automatically persisted, because we say cascade all, meaning all cascade operations, whether that is in fact save or delete, all those things will be cascaded, meaning when customer 1 object is persisted, the order object will be persisted. If you remove customer 1, then order 1 will be automatically removed as well. Okay, so you can see the code, of persisting order 1, we don't need those things anymore because they are persisted already as part of persisting customer. object because we are using this cascade all attribute. Okay, all right. So that is the second one. The third one is now unidirectional and it's using annotation. Now we could actually use a join column. So join column is used to specify different, let's say, the column name for the foreign key field. So in the first two, the foreign key column is called order ID. So this is actually automatically constructed, okay, by the JPA framework. But if you want to use a different foreign key column, then you can use a join column. In this case, I'm going to use a my order FK or something like that. So that is here. So it's basically in the customer. I said I'm going to use a different foreign key column, and here I say join column, and the name of the foreign key column is going to be my order FK. Okay, so that is basically what you are seeing. Okay, so that is the third one. So I'm going to actually run the example Java application and my package, and it should have my order FK. All right, so for the sake of this exercise, you can change here in the customer. I want to change the name of the foreign key column as my section. For the sake of this exercise, I save the change, and I can run the application. Okay, so let me just run this guy, run as in Java application, and now it should display foreign key column of my Sang Shin FK. Okay, all right, and you can certainly verify from NetBeans as well. So you can go to NetBeans, and here we refresh the page, and this one should be customer table, right? So if you take a look at the customer table, you're going to see, yeah, it contains my Sang Shin FK. Okay, all right, so that is the exercise 3. So exercise 3 is unidirectional using annotation with a cascade, but we want to use a different foreign key column name. Okay. Okay, the next one is bidirectional, and in bidirectional you can decide which side is the owner. So in this case, we're going to make customer as owner, right? Okay. So because it's bidirectional, we can navigate from customer to order, and we can navigate from order to customer. Okay. And if you take a look at the code, so here we are using annotation. This is a customer. Now, when you are using one-to-one, okay, so when you actually in fact using the join column, that's basically indicating that you are the owner, meaning you have the foreign key column. Okay, and then order, in this case, you have used the one-to-one and the cascade all, but here you say mapped by order. So mapped by is used to specify this is the inverse order. Okay, so let's run this guy. So we are going to, this is number 4, right? Number 4. So we are going to run this guy. Run as in Java application and my package. Okay, so you can see customer is the owner because it contains foreign key field. Okay, and order table is not the owner because it doesn't have a foreign key. So let's actually do some experimentation. So as I said before, when you are using this, the join column, it definitely specify that this is the owner because you're specifying foreign key column. What about the owner? So as owner, it actually also specify the map by order here. This is in fact the same field of the customer. So customer field as this order field, right? So it's actually should the same name of the field. Okay, so map by on the other hand is indicating that I'm the reverse owner. Okay, so that's the reason things work fine. But let's actually try to uncomment this guy and see what happens. I'm gonna actually uncomment this guy like this. All right, so let's actually run this code. Run as in Java application, and here. Okay, now you see both customer and the order table. It has some kind of foreign key column as well, right? So when you do not specify map by, it's also indicating that I want to be the owner as well, right? Okay. So that's the reason you want to specify mapped by. Okay. So by having mapped by, you're basically indicating that you are reverse owner, not actually the owner. Okay. So let's run this guy and Java application. Okay. So without specific map by, both will be behaving like that they are the owner. Okay. So in this case, I have texture. Whenever you got because it might have a duplication key value, something like that. Yeah, it means there's some conflict in the table. So all you have to do is just refresh the table and just remove all this, the tables and start it over. Okay. Okay. So now let's run it. Run as and Java application and my package. And I think it should work. Okay. So now we clarify that the order table is the inverse owner, and the other one has to be the owner. Okay, so that is the exercise 4. The next one is, in this case, now we are going to make order as the owner. So it's going to be the different. Now in this case, customer should have a map by. So if you take a look at the customer, now customer should have map by. Yeah, so you see it's using map by, and this custom X is the same name in the field of order. So order, it does have the custom X field. Okay, so we just kind of reverse the ownership in 5. Okay, so I am going to give you guys about 10 to 15 minutes to try this the first 5 sample applications, okay, which we exercise unidirectionality and bidirectionality, and we also use the default, which doesn't have annotation. By using annotation, we can specify cascading and things like that. Okay.